thunderwizard.com, sunwheelmagic.com. So today I want to talk to you about the moon god and the role of the moon in pre-Christian Indo-European society. So let's first talk about what the moon is. We all know what it is. It's a big giant rock that is out there revolving around the earth, and it reflects the light of the sun. So the ancients believed that the sun was representative of the soul. In fact, the English word soul comes directly from the Germanic word Sawul, which meant sun and soul. And the teaching is that the sun is the soul of the human being. The direct spiritual, pure spiritual essence of the human being is the Sawul, the sun. And the moon reflects that light. Now, if you try and look at the sun head on at noon, you'll go blind. You'll burn your eyes out of your head. But if you look at the full moon, you can look at that as long as you want. In fact, it's very healing and very pleasant to look directly into the light of the moon. So this was the idea, that the soul was so brilliant and so bright that it was impossible for us in human incarnated form to look upon our spiritual nature completely, because it would overwhelm us. There would be more than we could handle. So we had to use the mind. We had to look at the reflection of the spirit. And if we used the mind, we were able to do that. So mind has everything to do with meditation. It has everything to do with spiritual contemplation. Mind is not the same as intellect. The modern Western idea completely equates mind with intellect. And this is, again, one of the things that has happened ever since we have adopted imperial Christian ideas, which desacralizes everything. The intellect comes from a Latin word, two words, and it means to pick out from among. It means to pick apart. So right now I'm using my intellect to analyze these words, and I'm picking apart different meanings. But that's not the mind. The mind was that aspect of yourself that was able to look upon the reflected light of the spirit and contemplate it and understand it and experience it. The mind was also directly connected to the emotions, and we'll get into that in a second. So this is what the mind, what the moon is, and it corresponds with the mind. And as it so happens, the word for mind in Indo-European is also man. So you have, which is also the word for moon. The word for moon in the Old Norse is mani. The word for moon in English is monne. The Anglo-Saxons had a tendency to take ah sounds and make o sounds out of them. They still do that today. Instead of asking for something, they ask you for something. Instead of reliving the past, they relive the past. So it becomes all. Well, mani became monne, and then over time monne became moon. But the original Indo-European root word is man. And this is where we get the runic word man from as well. So man, moon, meant mind. What that means is that the ancient Indo-Europeans believed that what made human beings was their divine mind. And we find this in their ancient lore about themselves. According to the Roman historian Tacitus, the Germanic tribes believed that they were descended from the first human being, who was named Manu. And Manu gave birth to 3 other people who became the progenitors of the Germanic race. But it's making it very clear that Germanic people felt that they were a human being like every other human being on the planet, and they felt that all human beings were descended from Manu, and what made them human was their divine mind. So the word man meant divine mind, and so man could be representative of both men and women. As long as you were a human being, you had divine mind, and therefore you were man. That changed later. Man did not represent human male until after the adoption of Christianity, and I don't have time to talk about that right now. For that, look at the husband and wife video that I talk about that. So that's the idea of the moon. The moon is the mind. It is what makes human beings divine. According, again, to Tacitus, Manu was the son of Tu. So Tu, as we know, was originally the sky father god, the god of pure divinity. Later, Woden became the god, the head of the pantheon, shamanic awareness, spiritual consciousness. But before that, the head of the pantheon was Tu. So we have Tu, which would be representative of pure celestial spirit, and from Tu and earth came Manu, which is mind, and then mind was the first human being. Now, according to the Vedics, they also use the same word. They believed that the first human being was named Manu, and he was also the first king of the earth. And according to Vedic lore, Manu saved mankind from being drowned in a great flood, and he also saved the Vedas. The Vedas means wisdom, the wisdom scriptures, their spiritual lore. But Veda means wisdom. So what that myth is saying is that it is the divine mind that rescues human beings and pulls them out of pure emotional instinct, gives them the ability to reflect upon the spirit, which, you know, animals don't have that ability to do. And it also gives them the ability to retrieve wisdom, because in order to have wisdom, you must have objective, contemplative, meditative mind. And so that's what that means. What that myth says is that it is the divine mind, the reflection of the soul, that pulls human beings out of pure emotion and allows them to embrace and understand and contemplate wisdom. So this is the multifaceted function of the moon god in pre-Christian Indo-European society, and it is the meaning of the word man and mind.